Thanks for tuning in to your daily dose of quick real estate updates, local housing trends, and market data, plus tips, tools, and strategies to help you buy, rent, or invest with confidence. You're now getting ready with RealiCare Reports, powered by the innovation team, Cami and Rex. Now go grab your favorite morning breakfast, coffee or tea, and let's enjoy today's episode.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are plunging into a really interesting local story unfolding down in Rockledge, Florida. We're focusing on one source for this, and an article from veravoice.com. It lays out plans for a brand new community project.
Yeah, that's right. And our mission, really, for this dive is to unpack what's actually being proposed here. We'll dig into the specifics from the article and, get a handle on the context of where this is planned, especially considering the history of that particular piece of land.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that. The article mentions building on the site of the old Rockledge Airport. So what exactly is the plan?
Okay, so the developer is a company named Stellar Communities. They're based out of Ventura, down south. And they've got plans for a pretty substantial townhome community.
A townhome community?
Yeah, they're calling it the Stellar at Space Coast. And it's pegged as a $72 million project.
The Stellar at Space Coast. Okay, fitting name for the area. And where exactly is this site? It's 22 acres, right?
That's it. The article puts it at 3795 Fly Park Drive. So if you know the area, that's just east of Merle Road and north of Barnes Boulevard there in Rockledge.
Got it. $72 million for townhomes. How many are they actually planning to build?
The plan, according to the source, is for 201 townhomes.
201, wow.
Yeah, on that 22-acre plot.
That's a significant number of new homes for the area. What does the article say about the townhomes themselves, like features? What could people expect?
Well, it gives some details. Sizes will range, it says, from about 1,400 up to 2,000 square feet. And they'll offer different layouts, 2, 3, and even 4-bedroom options.
Right.
Inside, they're talking modern appliances, quartz countertops, the expected upgrades.
Were the current standards.
Exactly. Plus, they specifically mention some eco-friendly features. Electric vehicle charging stations are noted.
Okay, so keeping up with the times there, what about the community, like beyond the four walls of the homes, any shared amenities planned?
Oh, yeah, the article lists quite a few. Things like a pavilion area, poolside barbecue spots.
Practical stuff, too, like 24-hour emergency maintenance. They mentioned safety and security features, a secured access building, and they're planning social events, apparently. Plus, it's going to be pet-friendly.
Pet-friendly how?
They mentioned specifically a pet lawn and even a pet wash station.
Huh. Okay, so really trying to build a whole lifestyle package there. And the article mentions Stellar already owns the land now.
It does, yes. It cites Brevard County property appraiser records, says the land was bought for $3.75 million.
$3.75 million.
And that deal closed back on February 28th.
Okay, so they have the land. But this is where, like you said, the history gets really interesting. This wasn't just empty land waiting for houses.
Absolutely not. Understanding that history is pretty key here. Before any of this, this was the Rockledge Airport site.
Right. The article called it a small, privately owned airfield. But it hasn't been operating for a while, has it?
No, it stopped operating back in 2015.
2015.
And it wasn't just, that the owner decided to close. The article points to a specific reason cited by the state for the closure. And that was safety, I think. What were the safety issues that led the Florida Department of Transportation to shut it down?
Exactly, safety. The main concern highlighted in the source was about pilots landing in unauthorized areas.
Unauthorized areas, like off the runway.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was a significant enough issue that the FDOT mandated the airport cease operations in 2015.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think about developing on a site with that kind of specific past use.
For sure. So, okay, they bought the land with this history. They have this vision, 201 townhomes, amenities, the whole package. But just buying the land doesn't mean they can break ground tomorrow. What does the article say about the city of Rockledge's approval process?
That's a really critical point. Yeah, this project is absolutely not a done deal yet. It still needs several layers of city approval. The article actually quotes John W. Cooper Sr. on this.
Okay, and who is he?
He's Rockledge's community development director. He kind of laid out the process.
Right. And who in the city government actually gets to review and say yes or no to something like this?
According to Mr. Cooper, the key players are the city's planning commission and then ultimately the city council itself.
Standard procedure for development, usually.
Pretty much. They're the ones who check if the plans fit with local rules, zoning, that kind of thing.
So where does this specific project, the Stellar at Space Coast, stand right now in that process? Any approvals locked in?
It has made some progress. The community development director confirmed they have received preliminary plat approval.
Preliminary plat approval. Okay, break that down for us. What does plat mean here, and what does preliminary signify?
Good question. So a plat is basically just a map, a detailed map showing how the property is divided, lots, streets, common areas, all that. Preliminary plat approval means the city looked at this initial layout, this concept map, and gave it a sort of conditional okay.
A conditional thumbs up.
Exactly. It means the basic idea seems to fit with the city's general plans and zoning, but it's definitely not the final green light for the nitty-gritty details.
Okay, so the basic layout concept is okayed, but they can't start, like, pouring foundations yet based on that.
No, absolutely not.
What steps are still needed then, according to the source?
Mr. Cooper confirmed two major ones: site plan approval and final plat approval.
Site plan and final plat. What's the difference?
The site plan gets way more detailed. Think exact building locations, parking layouts, landscaping, drainage, utilities, all the specifics. And then the final plat is the very last step, basically certifying that everything meets all the technical requirements and it's ready to be officially recorded. And then finally get building permits.
Okay, much more detailed review to come.
Yeah.
Have they even submitted the paperwork for those next steps yet? Is there any timeline?
Well, according to the city official cited in the article, Stellar Communities hasn't actually submitted the applications for the site plan and final plat reviews yet.
Oh, okay, so they're not even scheduled then.
Correct. Which means those dates for the Planning Commission and City Council to review and make decisions, they're still up in the air.
So, preliminary nod, yes, but still a significant path forward through the city's process.
Definitely. There's still quite a bit of regulatory review ahead.
Got it. Let's shift back to the developer for a second. Stellar Communities. The article gave a bit of background on them.
It did. And interestingly, it notes that this project, the Stellar at Space Coast, would be their first community right inside Brevard County.
Ah, first one in Brevard. That's noteworthy. Did the article include any quotes from them?
Yes, from Alex Deshabert. He's the president of Stellar's Central Florida division. He's quoted talking about the company's pride in, innovation and growth, and he mentioned they've completed over 3,000 homes across Florida already.
Okay, so not new to Florida development, just new to Brevard specifically.
Right. They have a track record in the state.
And the article mentioned another project they're working on nearby.
Yeah, that's right. Down in Palm Bay. It's called the Havens at Palm Bay Reserve.
The Havens? What kind of project is that?
It's described as a 266-unit luxury build-to-rent community. So also residential, but a different model, rental focus. They apparently just broke ground on that one back on April 2nd. It's near Heritage High School, south of Malabar Road.
And any timeline on that one?
Expected completion is sometime in 2026, according to the source. So it gives you a sense they're active in the broader Space Coast region.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. We have a former airport site, closed due to safety issues, bought for $3.75 million by Stellar Communities, a developer new to Brevard but experienced in Florida. They're planning over 200 townhomes, the Stellar at Space Coast, with modern amenities.
Right.
They've got preliminary plat approval from Rockledge, but still need crucial site plan and final plat approvals and haven't applied for those yet. So what does this all mean for you, the listener, especially if you're in or around Rockledge?
Well, it's a really clear example of how land use changes over time, isn't it? You've got this piece of land that served a very specific non-residential function for years.
An airport.
Right. And now it's being completely repurposed for housing. It really highlights the development pressure in the area, the demand for homes.
And the direct impact of adding potentially 201 townhomes right there.
It's significant. You're adding a lot of new households, specifically townhomes, which cater to a certain market segment. For people nearby, it obviously means changes to the local landscape, potentially more traffic, maybe strain on local services, but also new housing options. And it shows how even sites with, let's say, complicated histories can find new life, even if it's a totally different kind of life.
And it really hammers home the role of that local approval process, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just buy land, build house.
Absolutely. This story makes it crystal clear. After the land sale, the local government, the planning commission, the city council, they act as crucial gatekeepers. Their review process is what determines if and how a project like this actually moves forward. It has to fit the city's rules and vision.
And the fact that they're only at the preliminary stage shows that detailed review is still very much pending.
Exactly. That's where the real scrutiny of the specifics happens.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the core of this deep dive. Stellar Communities plans a $72 million, 201-unit townhome project, the Stellar at Space Coast, on the former Rockledge Airport site off Fly Park Drive.
A site that closed in 2015 because of safety concerns about landings.
Right. Stiller bought the land in February, got preliminary plat approval from the city.
But critically, still needs site plan and final plat approvals, and those applications aren't even in the city's hands yet.
So the project is proposed, moving through the initial stages, but far from a finalized reality.
Which leaves us with a really interesting thought, doesn't it? When you see a place like an old private airport, closed for safety reasons, get eyed for such a big residential project, it makes you wonder, what other kinds of underused or maybe forgotten spaces are out there in your own community?
Yeah.
What dormant sites might be poised for completely unexpected transformations in the coming years? That's something to keep an eye on.
Well, that wraps up today's episode of RealiCare Reports, where real estate meets real life. For more updates, tools, and insights that will help you buy, rent, or invest with confidence, be sure to follow, subscribe, stay connected, stay informed, and stay ready. Until next time.